Howdy, folks. Welcome to HappyTec, where the tech is happy. I am all by my lonesome today because Fi is doing some other stuff. So we should actually do. Look, now there's two of me. Hey. So there's an interesting thing. Um, I don't actually know if I can share this. Let me see. Screen share. Can I switch to? Ooh, Google Chrome, Instagram. Does that work? Oh, that does work, but doesn't look very good. So let's make that a little bit smaller so that it looks less terrible. Okay, so basically, you can tell this is set up for Zoom, but he's not here. So I thought this was kind of interesting.
Not a robot that does the chores without the creepy humanoid design. This is Mimo from Sunday Robotics. While most companies
Okay, so right off the bat, when I saw this on Instagram, I was like, wow, it's amazing because literally last episode, are these episodes that we do? Last show, we were talking about that some meme someone did. They're like, why can't we get robots to do the things I actually want them to do, like the dishes and stuff? And like, here we are.
are chasing that human-like realism, Mimo is designed for utility through simplicity. Instead of a bipedal system with a realistic walking gait, its base is a rolling platform with a center column that rises up to reach the top shelf and lowers down for easy access to floors and cabinets. And Mimo doesn't use five-fingered hands that are difficult to engineer. It uses dual gripping pincers optimized for strength and precision, which leads us to the key difference between Sunday Robotics and their rivals. Instead of expensive
Anyway, that's kind of an interesting thing right there too, is because what they were saying there is, oh my gosh, look at this. We've got, you know what? I realized I should actually open this stream up so I can see if anyone's talking. No one's talking in this stream. Okay, you know what? Yes. Okay. Cool. Just to make sure, I like to keep the stream up so I can, make sure everything's not exploding terribly. But they're right about that. Is bipedalism is actually really hard to do. There's a reason that there's not even many animals that do it, right? Like humans do it, of course. And I notice I can see the bottom of the zoom bar. I don't want the bottom of the zoom bar, actually. Whatever, it's gone now. Bipedalism is really hard to do. Animals have trouble with it as well, which is why most animals are four-legged, right? Humans and a couple of apes, and like, I mean, if I pick up my dog, he can be bipedal for a little bit, but he can't really do it super well on his own. It's hard. It's a lot of brain power that we put into just to walk, and getting the muscle and stuff, all of that, that's not that hard. We know how the muscles work for bipedalism, so putting that into a robot, not hard. Getting the robot to know what to do, that's hard. Hands, arms, stuff like that. We've had robotic arms for a long time, and arms are actually not that hard because you're not balancing on your arms, right? And there's a shoulder joint, there's an elbow joint, and there's a wrist joint. Fingers, much more difficult, right? A bunch of joints. But those three, right, not too many degrees of motion you have to think about. And we've been doing robotic arms for decades. That's what factories work off of. So getting a robotic arm to just, and the complexities of being able to say, here is a 3D space, which you can use something like LiDAR, point clouds, things like that. And then the arm knows where it is, and it knows where it needs to be. And so connecting that to move there, we've been able to do that for a while. So this is actually really smart, because also rolling things, we've been able to do those for a long time also. There are probably some things that I feel like this could have some trouble with, like it can't go up and down stairs, right? It's like a Roomba. All right, your Roomba can't go up and down stairs. Thing is, most houses, at least in America, kitchen, dining room, living room, all on the same story. Now we have kind of an odd house that we're in right now where the dining room is actually up a step. So a robot like this would have trouble with that, but it can get around the kitchen just fine. You usually don't have steps in your kitchen. That'd be kind of an odd kitchen, and it can go up really high if it needs you to reach the top shelf. So it's not really worried about step stools. So it's just kind of interesting how they've taken a lot of the really complicated things that we have to deal with in robotics, and they've just said, we're not going to worry about that.
teleoperation training methods, Sunday captures their trainers completing tasks around the house while wearing low-cost gloves
I
that
don't
mirror
see your.
Mimo's hands.
Wait.
And this is actually pretty cool too. Yeah, I'm not screen sharing because I can't screen share, remember? It won't show up for
What?
people.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah. basically I'm doing the Mimo wheeled the wheeled hoe. Um, yeah, but the training thing is also really interesting because it's not using those 10 fingers. It's just using those grips, and it's just got two accentuated things to deal with. Right? It looks like it might actually be like the little bit thing in there, which is enough to pick up most things. And the way they're training it here is kind of interesting too, where they've got someone wearing specific gloves for training. Anyway, hi Fee, good to see ya. Um, let me see. Let's talk about things now. The whole HappyTec duo is here and ready to do stuff.
Yeah, wait, what were you talking about before I joined?
So basically, you know what? Actually, can you actually share? Because you're the one that needs to do the share. The that Instagram picture or that thing of the Mimo robot.
Oh, sure, one second. Let me get that ready and going.
Let me just make sure this
Or that
is
thing of the
wrong.
robot.
That's also wrong.
All
Here we
right,
go.
turn that off. Which one is that?
It's the one in our Discord that is Game of Tomorrow. It was from 12:11 at 9:50 a.m. It's a little bit up. We put all our topics into a Discord channel. There's a lot of topics, I'll tell you what. It's about Mimo.
Uh, December 11th. Okay, hold on.
I also posted
Mimo,
like
yeah, this one. Okay, I
five
got
things on
it.
December 11th.
Up and running.
Too many topics, not enough time, you know?
Yeah, we're thinking of going to twice a week and 45-minute streams. So if that is interesting, because then we could probably try to hit different um time zones and platforms. We were thinking of doing Facebook, um and the other one we were thinking of doing was YouTube. So if you're watching this and you somehow have a preference of YouTube or Facebook, let us know, because we want to be accessible to everyone. And I think Substack is great. I love Substack. And I don't think everybody has a Substack account as many people as have like YouTube accounts and stuff. So I just want to make sure that we're accessible to people. That's pretty important to us. I'll share sound. Here we go. So yeah, if you have a preference between YouTube or Facebook, let us know by replying to the email when you get it, or commenting below, or messaging us, and we will take that into consideration. So yeah, this is the Mimo robot. So this is from the Game of Tomorrow Instagram channel, and I have the sound off right now. I'll refresh it in a second. So it says Mimo is a wheeled home robot from Sunday Robotics, a Mountain View startup founded by Stanford PhDs Tony Zhao and Cheng Chi, I think is how you say it. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Unveiled in November 2025, it's built to handle real household chores like loading the dishwasher, clearing tables, folding laundry, and even making espresso. So it's powered by the ACT1 Foundation model, trained not on lab robots, but on 10 million episodes of humans doing chores, captured with low skill captured gloves in over 500 homes. As a result, it can complete long multi-step tasks like a 33-step table to dishwasher routine. Yeah, y'all. Table to dishwasher is 33 freaking steps, and generalized to new kitchens without teleoperation. So I guess that means like when somebody else is controlling it. Sunday is launching a 2026 beta with founding families, pitching Mimo as a customizable, safe, skill learning home appliance for single floor homes. So what's interesting is that yeah, they skipped past Uncanny Valley completely. So if you don't know what Uncanny Valley is, it's this like attempt for things to look human and then they look slightly off because you can just tell that it's not human. However, with the new Nano Banana Pro, I don't know if you've checked it out, they have found a way around Uncanny Valley and it looks pretty freaking realistic. So this, they just made it look cartoonish when you look at the robot. It's like not even supposed to mimic a human, and in that way it's less threatening, because when you look at uncanny valley stuff, it looks creepy and scary, and you're like, I don't want that thing anywhere near me, is what happens. Also, I am sick, so if I sound weird, that's why. I thought they would have tagged the company here, so they haven't. I'm gonna unmute the thing now and restart it so we can listen to it.
that does the chores without the creepy humanoid design. This is Mimo from Sunday Robotics. While
Oh,
chores without the creepy humanoid design. This is Mimo from Sunday Robotics. While most companies are chasing that human-like realism, Mimo is designed for utility through simplicity. Instead of a bipedal system with a realistic walking gait, its base is a rolling platform with a center column that rises up to reach the top shelf and lowers down for easy access to floors and cabinets. And Mimo doesn't use five-fingered hands that are difficult to engineer. It uses dual gripping pincers optimized for strength and precision, which leads us to the key difference between Sunday Robotics and their rivals. Instead of expensive teleoperation training methods, Sunday captures their trainers completing tasks around the house while wearing low-cost gloves that mirror Mimo's hands. Anything a person can do with these skill capture gloves becomes new data for their Act 1 foundation model, resulting in cheaper and more reliable training than traditional methods. If functionality was the same, what design do you prefer? How about a robot that does the chores without the creepy humanoid design? This
okay. So can we leave this running in the bottom, Rob, and get both of our videos on top? Did we figure out if we could do that or not?
So maybe
Yeah,
let
it might
me
take a few
see
minutes because it would
what
be really
I
cool to
can
get both of our
do.
faces up here.
Let's add window capture. Not the screen share. And we're going to pull that in here. That is probably, yeah. There we go.
Okay, I'm waiting for it to show up in the stream so I can see it.
Should be
Oh,
there.
cool. Can you move the browser up just a little bit more
Can I move
so the whole
it
thing is in there?
like that? Make it a bit
I'm waiting for
bigger.
it to show up. Oh, I'm not seeing it yet. Um, can you make us a little bit smaller? Like, can you scale us down? Oh, I see. Okay, now the browser has caught up. I think it should be a little bit bigger though. The
Well, if it's
browser.
any bigger, it's going to start clipping. I can make us smaller.
Yeah, if you could try to make us smaller and then pull this up. Because I think it'll be cool to have everyone like all three things when we're making the shorts and stuff.
All right, we're going to get everyone in here.
Yeah, perfect. And then should I zoom in a little bit?
Probably,
Would
yeah.
that help?
If you want HappyTec to help you with your OBS setup, then just let us
Oh my
know.
God, we should totally make that an offer.
Because this is all
Okay,
OBS.
is this good now?
Um, yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, so here we go. So we're talking today about Mimo, which is a robot that is AI based. I'm pretty sure it didn't actually say AI in here, but I'm pretty sure there's no way to do this in the scale that they did, in the time that they did without AI. And it did say that they went through a lot of video content. So I'm pretty sure. Rob, do you have any thoughts on that piece?
It is AI, but not kind of LLM AI necessarily. This is more traditional AI that's been around for a couple decades. Robotics is a little different because it's making a lot of decisions based on. Maybe I should restart this explanation so we get
Yes,
a
go
clean.
ahead, please. Sorry.
So there's two forms of AI. The AI that we've been hearing about most recently is large language models, LLMs, right? ChatGPT, Anthropic, things like that. Um, People are pretty excited about that, and that's why we're hearing mostly about it. But AI had been a thing for a very long time. And so, how this is working is actually really fun for me. Basically, they have those grippers, right, that you put on your hands. And what those are doing is those actually have gyroscopes in them, as well as kind of location data relative to each other. And so, as you're doing something like you pick up a plate, the robot knows where its hands need to be to pick up that plate in relationship to the plate. So while they're training that, they'll actually go through that data and say, okay, here's where the plate was being picked up. And someone will probably have to do it, or they may have AI handle it as well. Then when the robot has to do that, it has that data in its head that says, when you're picking up a plate, here's where your hands need to be relative to the plate. And so it goes, okay, I see the plate. And that's where the AI part comes in, is it is scanning everything around it. It's probably not using just a visual sensor, though it is using vision. It's probably using something more like LiDAR. And what LiDAR will do, and this is what self-driving cars do as well, is it'll hit something and bounce back. And it's a little bit like radar in that you can tell with radar, essentially all radar tells you is the distance between you and some other thing. And so like when a police car radars you, they can tell how fast you're going because they're actually hitting you with multiple pulses. And those pulses come back and then they compare the time, the distance you were between them in a certain amount of time, and they can figure out how fast you're going. It's pretty simple math. LiDAR is very similar. You're saying, okay, bounce the laser off of this thing. It comes back. I know exactly how far that is away now because of how long it took that laser to come back to me. So Mimo is using that to get a point cloud of millions of little points everywhere around its surroundings. And so it's then feeding that into an LLM. Something like an LLM. It's not actually an LLM that's trained on text. It's more of an image-based LLM. And it's going to say, okay, do I see something that looks like a plate? Oh yeah, that collection of points. I can see there's a little bit of an underlip. I can see visually, it's visually distinct from the rest. And I can see on my point cloud that it has this depth to it because that's how it sees depth. We see depth with two eyes, and we have really powerful brains that do that, and AI hasn't quite caught up to that yet. Then it says, that's a plate. I want to pick up that plate. That's a decision that another agent is running, which probably is based on an LLM. Then it runs out, okay, how do I pick up a plate? It looks up that data, and that says, great, my hands are here. My hands need to be in this position next to the plate. And so it articulates its joints to get to that position and runs through that code to pick up the plate, just like the other person would do. Closes its grippers, lifts it, and then it says, now I have a plate, updates its internal state. And it says, okay, what do I got to do with this plate? Well, it's probably dirty. Let's put it in the dishwasher. Then it remembers, okay, I've been in this house, kind of like how a Roomba will do. Roombas build that map of your house, right? It says, okay, I know where the dishwasher is. I know where I am. Now I need to get to the dishwasher. And it goes, and it's smart enough, just again, like a Roomba is, to figure out, oh, something's moved, something's in the way again. So let me see if I can get around that thing. Like if a chair was moved somewhere. Gets to the dishwasher, it knows how to open the dishwasher because, again, it sees where the dishwasher is. It sees that point cloud, and it loads up in its memory the actions to open a standard dishwasher. Opens it, puts the plate in, which is another standard set of actions. And yeah, it's good to go. So it is very, very cool what they have done here. But, and yeah, $20,000 sounds about right. But
Well,
what they are
actually, can we
doing,
talk about, sorry, yeah, it is, you're right. It is really cool what they've done here, but can we just talk about what it will cost really quick?
apparently will cost $20,000.
Well, so they said that building a single Mimo, I guess, today by
Mm.
hand with custom components and no economies of scale costs approximately $20,000. So for them to
Mm.
make it, we don't expect that to be the retail price. Large scale manufacturing in our next phase will meaningfully reduce costs by at least 50%, and exact pricing will be announced closer to launch, which is supposed to be at the end of 2026, I think is what I read.
Mm.
So I found that really interesting that like they have this like beta program and you can sign up for it. And I think I'm just going to
I wonder if
because
they ship it to Michigan.
I
Yeah.
want to know what the heck is going to happen with this because one of the main complaints we actually had a video from last time. Actually, let me pull that up, Rob, 1 second.
But yeah, the economies of scale thing is interesting. One thing that I'm really curious about is we have computer chips nowadays that can actually run LLMs themselves. A lot of phones, the next generation phones, are going to have a lot of these APUs, AI processing units. Oh yeah, this is the one.
Yeah, so this is from last week. We talked about this reel from Lena Burnett on Instagram. And she said, can we get AI to take these duties, right? And this is just 2 weeks ago that she posted this, right? AI is going to take our jobs. When is it going to take these jobs? And this
Here
reel
it
came out one
is.
week ago. Sorry?
Here it is.
Here it is.
So yeah, the thing that's interesting to me is if this is probably going to come with a subscription, right? Like everything is. And it's probably like, yeah, you got this thing, but it's also like $500 a month for the pro plan, or you got this other plan. And that's what they could do, right? Because a lot of times if you need to run an LLM, you need to run it in the cloud. And so like you're running into ChatGPT or something like that. But with recent advances with like the what is it called, the DeepSeek, the Chinese AI, they did a lot of work to make these things much cheaper to train. Not like super cheap like you could do it in your backyard sort of thing, but like cheap enough that a company that probably has probably a couple $1 million under its belt to be building something like this could afford. And so if they're able to do that, if they're able to have those LLMs run in house, that means they might not need a subscription. And they probably will do one anyway because their investors will tell them to do subscriptions and subscriptions make a ton of money. But this is a big enough chassis that they could put enough chips in it to run a very simple LLM. This doesn't need to be conversational. It doesn't need to be as powerful as Claude or ChatGPT. It just needs to be smart enough to be able to understand how basic household tasks are done, how to get from A to B, and if you know you have certain objects, what to do with them. I don't think that takes that much power. So they could actually put APUs in the chassis here and make it so they don't have to be connected to the internet at all. That would be cool. They're probably not going to do that because it's expensive, but it is technically possible. And if they do that, it doesn't matter if they have a subscription model because then you could jailbreak it. Right? So if it's doing all its processing under the hood, and I think that's a lot of complaints that people are going to come up with this because what we have seen is stuff goes down, right? Stuff goes down a lot. Cloudflare went down the other day. AWS goes down, and then your favorite website doesn't work. And people are already starting to joke. I've seen a bunch of jokes that like, oh, if I buy a smart coffee maker, I won't be able to get coffee if the internet goes down. They might not be wrong, right? And so I feel like that actually could be a big selling point with some of these things of them saying, hey, look, goes down, your robot will still do the dishes. And granted, that's such a first world. Clear the table, so I have to clear the table. Oh, boo hoo. But that's the people that are buying this. That's the problem they're trying. So I really do feel like at some point there is going to be a company that actually tries to make one of these things fully autonomous. Anyway, that's just oh wow, 35 million. So there you go.
Yeah. And I can't tell. Yeah, the promise of AI robotics isn't backflipping or dancing demos, but robots that work in messy real world situations, said Eric Vishria, general partner at Benchmark, which is one of the companies that invested in Sunday Robotics. There's also a different Sunday company that's Bangkok based. So I hope I'm not getting them confused. Anyway, to have those, we need real world training data. We have about 1 millionth of the data we need. 1 millionth. Okay, and then this brings us back to the environmental impacts of AI and where the F that's going. And whether, for example, let's say we're looking at like skilled nursing facilities, right, as one of the places that could use robotic assistance to supplement what the caregivers, what the RNs are doing, what the doctors are doing, what physical therapists are doing, right? That field, right? And how is robotics, this kind of robotics that's truly, accessible and can get in and kind of do some of those more difficult things where humans, like human bodies, will take a toll, right? For example, deadlifting people, can it support with that, right? So in what ways is this going to alleviate some of the work that humans are doing right now that is taking a toll on our bodies? And then what impact this is going to have on the environment if we only have, they said that they only have 1 millionth of the data that they need to make these robots a reality.
Yeah, that's a lot of data. And AI lives on data, right? That's just kind of how it is. And I guess it kind of makes sense because if you think about it, AIs are trying to become maybe not experts, but good enough at everything. And think about how long it takes you to get, as a human, to get good at something. I know there's that 10,000 hours, which they decided was not actually true, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of your own data and how much processing we're taking in by doing things and moving around. Like it's terabytes of data that our senses produce for us. And then think about that if you were trying to get good at every single profession, well, I watched Groundhog Day recently for the first time with Fi, and well, he gets good at a lot of professions, but it takes him a long time to do that. And he gets to repeat the same day over and over again, and that's how he manages it. But I'm dropping some frames. The internet's being a little wonky.
Yeah, can you say more about our senses and terabytes?
So if you think about what we look at, our our senses are actually kind of weird in that way, in that things are organic, analog, but there's a tremendous amount of data that we process in our brain constantly. So when you look, right, we're seeing the world in the highest definition possible, right? Just crazy amounts of high def that our brain immediately processes and takes care of. Now we actually have a specific, our eyeballs do some of that. They do some of that processing for us and actually turn it into electrical signals. Then those signals get sent to the back of our brain. Is it the back or the front? It's the front, I think, that does visual cortex. Where is the visual cortex in the brain? I'm gonna look this up now. This is important for me to get right. It's in the back of the brain. Yes, okay. Right, because the front of the brain is the thinking portion. That's why. So, yeah, so the visual cortex at the back of the brain, that receives all that data and immediately processes it constantly. And the thing that's cool about that is that we have such a powerful algorithm in there that it knows what to throw away. And our brain is actually really good at detecting changes. For example, I'm looking at the camera right now, and nothing around me really is changing, except as I'm moving this, I can see myself on the screen, and so my brain is picking up on that. I also have a graph over to the side that's ticking, and that's showing me my internet. I'm picking up on that. Fi is not moving that much, so I'm actually kind of losing track of her, except just now. But that our brain does that, right? We have something that very quickly, organically, filters out everything that's not important and gives me what I'm looking at with depth because we have two eyes. That's incredible. And we can do that with computers nowadays, but it takes a tremendous amount of processing power and just stuff that the human brain can just do. Now, the human brain's not very efficient at it, honestly, in a lot of ways, because it throws away a ton of data. What is our human brain caring about? Our human brain is caring about, is that a tiger? Is that food? Is that a potential ally? Like, what are these objects? And it dismisses a lot of stuff outright. AI, we don't want it to do that. And AI also doesn't have millions of years of evolution to hardwire what is important. You see the silhouette of something moving in the bush, your brain has recognized that and already started dumping adrenaline into your system before you even know you saw it. AI just hasn't been around that long. So if it sees a shape in a bush, it may not even see it because its training data just didn't have that. Now, what do we do with that? Well, we let the AI get eaten by tigers a lot until it starts to spot one. That actually is a way to train AI. It just takes a really long time. So yeah, there's a ton of data that humans do. However, that data is also not like, it's not a good comparison, because you saw on one of those previous slides, oh, the brain can hold 2.5 terabytes of information or something really large, but it doesn't. And the other thing is, because the brain also doesn't store one copy of something, it stores like 100 copies of something, and it has all these links holding them together. And so a lot of that storage space is actually duplicated, because that's just how our brain works. We duplicate a lot of stuff. And that's why smelling some smell may suddenly remind you of Christmas at your aunt's house 10 years ago, because there's a link to those things. But that smell is stored in 5 different places, and some of them are not linked properly, and some of them are linked properly, and this is how you get mental disorders. So it's very messy, the human brain. So if you really are trying to say like, hey, how do we do this to a computer, or do a comparison to a computer, it's really hard to do, because it's just different, right? We're processing so much information, but we're also throwing a tremendous amount of it away, because our brain has evolved to just focus on the important stuff, which is why you really sometimes have to focus. You're looking like, where is my glasses? Where are my glasses is the correct English. Where are my glasses? And you're looking for them, because your brain didn't evolve to find glasses. You really have to think about that. Your brain's constantly like, no tiger there, no food there, don't care. But you're saying, no, I have to care. I need to care, because I know my glasses are somewhere in this pile of random crap. AI, on the other hand, sees everything and processes everything, and we're trying to teach it how to filter out what doesn't matter. So, yeah. Ooh, they have people
Yeah,
working for them.
I'm wondering what these are, right? Memory developer. That is such an interesting title to me.
Yeah.
I've never, yeah, we will resume hiring in January. You won't just collect data,
Mm.
you will shape the memory of our robot and play a vital role in training the AI that powers it. Using provided hardware, you will record high quality demonstrations of household tasks that directly influence how our robot learns to perceive and act in real environments. This is a flexible, remote, part time role for individuals who are excited to contribute to the future of robotics. So it's almost like you're going to use it in your house, is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking. And you'll get compensated for that. So they can train the robot on that. And this is like a whole different sort of element of what we've seen, for example, with ChatGPT or any of the ones that are helping us with digital tasks. This is going into the physical world. So this right now is starting in the homes, which is really smart, right? People will hire, house cleaners. They'll hire people to do their landscaping, for example, or they'll hire a plumber, for example, to take care of their plumbing, right? So they're going directly to the consumer needs first. But from there, I can see it being applicable in so many different areas that are like more dangerous. For example, like deep sea work that needs to happen, right? Or anything that's like space exploration related or mining related, those kinds of really dangerous jobs. Or even, what's that show, Big Fish or whatever, where they're like getting like sea fish. What
Oh
is that
yeah,
show
Wicked
called?
Tuna,
Big Catch, Wicked Tuna.
or Deadliest
Right,
Catch. Yeah,
robots can help us catch tuna and save lives and put entire industries of entertainment television into a black hole of never returning to existence ever again. Anyway, besides all of that, the robot is really cute. And so that's what makes it all great, and we're
it
happy
is
about
very
this.
cute.
Okay, forget all the sarcastic stuff. I just wanted to share this here and with everyone, so that, because last week we talked about, can they help with these chores that we want help with, instead of taking away art, instead of
Mm.
taking away music, taking away coding, taking away writing, right? This was the real, where she's like, when can I get rid of these tasks? And so there is actually a solution that is in the works, and it costs $20,000 per robot for it to get built. Shall we move on to our
Yeah,
next topic?
I mean, honestly, $20,000 is not that bad for something like this. I could see a lot, especially because they're in the Bay Area. I think like a lot of households could afford something like that. Very money, yo. It's ridiculous.
Okay, so what should we go into next, Rob, from the docket?
Ooh, let's see. Um. Oh yeah. The. um. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, I'd like to go into this actually. It's the
Okay.
one about feeds, feelings, and focus, a systematic
Oh
review and
yes.
examining the cognitive and mental health correlates of short form video use, specifically Reels and TikToks, which is where you might be watching this right now. So, this is from Lan Nguyen in Griffith University, Jared Walters, and Siddharth Paul. And their abstract talks about TikTok and Douyin. Is that how you say it? Do you know how you say it?
Probably it's not that, but
Okay. So they're called SFVs, which are short form videos and YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels. Although initially geared towards entertainment, they are increasingly used in education, political campaigns, advertising, consumerism, and yet their design, characterized by endless scrolling interfaces, has raised concerns about addiction and negative health impacts. So that's kind of what they wanted to study. And here's what they found. Increased use of short form video was associated with poorer cognition, with attention and inhibitory control yielding the strongest associations. So that means your attention, your cognition, and like whether you can, control your impulses is most impacted by watching these kinds of videos. Similarly, increased use of short form videos was associated with poorer mental health, with stress and anxiety showing the strongest associations. These findings were consistent across youth and adult samples and across different platforms. Relatively few studies examined cognitive domains beyond attention and inhibitory control, memory, reasoning, highlighting critical directions for future research. Interestingly, the short form videos use was not associated with body image or self esteem, which may reflect the diverse content and creators featured on these platforms. Further research is needed to clarify how different types of content exposure may shape these associations. Overall, these findings highlight the importance of understanding the broader health implications of watching TikTok and Instagram Reels, given let me do that again. Overall, these findings highlight the importance of understanding the broader health implications of short form video use, given its pervasive role in daily life and potential impact to health, behavior, and well being. By synthesizing current evidence, this study provides a critical foundation for future research to explore understudied health domains such as cognitive health and physical health, and offers insights to guide public discourse and the development of research informed approaches for promoting more balanced engagement with short form video content. I think it's so interesting that they're talking about physical health because I think that's a big one for me as someone who's recently started to work out. Is like it is hard some days to not want to watch and scroll and to like get up and go and do the things that I need to do. And it does kind of lend itself to me just like hanging out on the couch or in my bed or wherever, and watching reels and TikToks, which I really do love doing. And I've learned a lot from different reels and TikToks, and I am a proponent of like social media. I do believe that social media can be really beneficial, and I know a lot of people are very anti-social media, but I kind of see social media as a drug. And so you have to use responsibly when it comes to alcohol or smoking cigarettes or whatever other illicit substances you're into, right? So that's the way I'm kind of like seeing social media, because for me it's connected me to so much information, so much knowledge, so many people that I care about. It's a way of community organizing, it's a way of self actualization for me. And it's a way that I research. I research products that I'm buying. I love targeted ads, right? So I'm like the ideal social media like consumer. So I'm very pro social media, but it has to be done in this way that is like informed, where you really understand what you're getting into. For example, I did a trial period of like 3 days, I think it was, where I turned off, like not turned off, I like put away all digital devices at around 9:30. It only lasted 3 days, y'all. But those 3 days on my Aura ring, which I know, yes, I wear an Aura ring, um, my Aura ring, my sleep score was much higher than all the other nights, and I got higher amounts of REM sleep and less interrupted sleep. And I immediately knew that it was because of the devices, right? So I'm very aware of like the impact that it's having on my body and that it's literally disrupting sleep, which is one of the most important things that we have, that is like a restorative reparative process for our body that really can aid in so many different things in your life, you know, from losing weight to Alzheimer's to just like not needing coffee and being able to keep up with your kids if you have any. So, all of that to say, I understand the problems of social media, and I still think it's a really powerful tool if used correctly. And this study is saying that it has negative impacts on anxiety and cognition, like literally your ability to think and to think critically. And we see that with all of the AI videos that are coming out these days that people can't tell are AI. That's also another thing that we kind of want to pay attention to. It's like how to really be an informed person and really learn to ask, is this real? Can I verify that this is real and check it out, right? Because there are just so many videos. I mean, you saw that one with Snoop Dogg. I keep going back to that one because it was freaking Snoop Dogg who's posting of the seal and the boat and whatever. And I was like, oh my God. And all of the comments were saying, I don't care that it's AI. This makes me feel good. People literally don't care anymore that it's AI, right? So we're going into really uncharted territories with all of this stuff, and I am by no means perfect with my tech use. Oh my God, I'm like definitely one of the people that's addicted. So all of that to say, this was an interesting study that came out, and I just wanted to bring it up in terms of tech hygiene and just having an understanding of like putting your phone down and also like using the correct eyewear, your posture. That's something I found out at the chiropractor. And so I actually have this like bolster when I do yoga to go backwards on my spine to reverse the hunching motion. So there are a lot of different things that, you know, tech is affecting when it comes to our physical health. And they did mention that in here, that physical health is something that they'll need to study ongoing. Okay, I will pause there. I'd love to hear Rob's thoughts on this because he's very anti-social media compared to me. So I'm really curious to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general this is not anything new that anyone has not, like, people already know this. The thing that was interesting to me here is this is a meta study. And what that means is they actually themselves did not conduct a study. They looked at the findings of a bunch of different studies. That's why you see really relatively few studies examined beyond attention, etc. What they're basically saying, like, we didn't find a lot of studies that check this, so we don't have much data on it. We're actually seeing a lot of meta studies, or at least I'm seeing a lot more of them these days because there is so much data that we can pull from older studies, and I think that's just really interesting. The other thing I want to bring up is, how does this affect you, aside from social media stuff? If you are a business owner running ads, this is a very useful thing for you to know, because you know that your audience, if you're doing ads on short form videos, your audience is likely to be more anxious and more impulsive. So you can craft your ads appropriately, you know,
Oh
to
my God, are you using the science for evil?
well, I feel like that's just something that, you know, frequent viewers of this podcast thing that we do. Is this a podcast or is this just a live? Frequent viewers of this live might be interested in. But yeah, also, you know, social media just hurts you. Technology. The thing is about it though, technology has been messing with us for a long time. There have been a lot of studies that have shown that the fact that we have things like Google has actually meant that our memories are worse. We remember things worse if we know we can look it up on Google. Our brain somehow realizes, I don't need to commit this to long-term memory because I can look it up. And so that's been the case for forever, right? And so this is just, you know, we've known about the effect of social media and that sort of thing on teenagers. It's caused them to be more depressive, more suicidal, more anxious. And that's why a lot of people are saying, scientists, don't give your teenagers phones until, you know, they're older and their brains are more developed. Of course, you can't, as a parent, your teenager would probably die if you didn't give them a phone, like, of embarrassment, if nothing else. That's just the world we live in now. You know, it's hard to get away from that stuff. And so there's that whole battle going on. But it really, like, I have found this as well. If I'm just scrolling through Instagram, which is my go-to at this point, I really have to be considering what I'm doing and like how is this going to make me feel. And there's a lot of times where there's content that I think, oh, that looks interesting, and then I realize you're going to feel some negative emotion by the end of this. You're going to be anxious, you're going to be angry, you're going to be sad, you're going to be something. And so knowing that, I skip it. But that's something I've had to train myself to do, right? So that's all another practical way you can use this information is just be aware about how you're going to feel watching something, and you don't have to watch everything. There is always going to be another reel.
Yeah, and I want to go into awareness. So for a long time, because of my ADHD brain, I thought that I don't have enough time. But have you ever noticed that time will sometimes go really fast and sometimes it'll go really slow? And this is called Einstein time, where our perception of time is actually under our control. Not the actual passing of time, but the perception of it. And it can like change and shift how everything happens. And why? Why is that, right? Why does our perception, our awareness of time, why is that what's affected, right? Because the thing that we're actually trying to stay on top of and the thing that we're actually trying to hold on to more than time is our awareness. And so these different platforms, the short form video, they come in and they're competing for your awareness. So is your awareness on your physical health, or is it on the TikTok reel that you're watching of some dancing bunny rabbits? And like Rob said, right, you're going into a reel or a short of some kind. Do you know what this might make you feel? And how aware of that are you? That is really where I've been focusing my awareness is on what I'm actually paying attention to in my life. And it's made some like significant changes for me day to day when I take my mind off of a time-based approach and like a did I focus on the things I wanted to focus on today approach. So I just want to bring that up in here because they also talk about one of the ways to keep your memory sharp, and I'm terrible at doing this, but I have tried it a few times and it's really hard. For example, earlier today in this stream, I was trying to remember the name of the Big Tuna show and I literally couldn't, and then Rob remembered it. So just trying to recall things yourself is one of the things that they suggest to do. And I wanted to share that on here because that can be a really important way to just like gain back some of your own awareness and your use of your brain, because our brains are so powerful. They're still more powerful than anything humans have created. So just keep that in mind. And then it says here to limit passive use. So set times for digital detox and avoid screens. One second. Woo. And then tech to offline transition. So use short lit rituals to shift focus between digital and physical tasks. Rob, you're gonna have to talk because I'm dying. I'll be right back.
No worries. One thing I have noticed that we all know, oh, the dreaded algorithm, right? The algorithm everyone complains about as a content creator. But the reason is, as the content consumer, you can do whatever you want with it. So one thing, there was a specific type of reel. I want to say it was like little clips of like celebrities on the Jimmy Kimmel show or something. I think, and I found one, or I saw a couple that were like with celebrities that I enjoyed listening to, so I watched those, and so then the algorithm started showing me a bunch of them, right? Because I'd watched them all the way through and liked them, so it started showing them to me, and I was like, okay, well, it had picked up on the idea that, oh, I just like people on the Jimmy Kimmel show, which I don't. I'm not actually a big fan of Jimmy Kimmel. I just like those celebrities, and so it kind of picked the wrong thing, right? And so I just started skipping those, and after about maybe 10 to 15 reels, they stop showing up. Because the whole thing, the algorithm knows that if you're skipping too many things, you're going to leave. And so it desperately is trying to figure out what you don't want to skip. So if you start skipping something, you skip enough of it, it's going to very, very abruptly stop showing you those things. So if you're really seeing things that you don't want to see, just skip them. It'll stop showing them to you. And if you see things you do want to see, watch it all the way through, give it a like, engage with it, because that's what tells the algorithm this is the sort of thing I want to see. So if you're aware you can really make sure that you're seeing the things that you want to see. And if you're
Yeah,
not
I
careful,
completely.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, if you're not careful.
They've done some studies on this, and someone who was just, I think it was on TikTok, they said, okay, so I'm just going to be like a 24-year-old male, right? Flipping through this, oh, I see this story, this guy talking about manliness. Okay, I'm going to watch that because I like manliness and hunting and stuff like that. And like within 10 reels, they were watching like white power propaganda and like neo-Nazi stuff. Like that's how quickly the algorithm picks up on that stuff. So if you aren't paying attention, you will go down a rabbit hole that maybe you don't want to go down. But if you are paying attention, you can make sure that the pathway you go down is exactly where you want to be. Problem is, most people in their teens aren't paying attention.
Yeah, and I'll just share that that's how I have like specifically my Instagram set up. For example, this is my like main Instagram, right? It's mostly inspirational, spiritual, relationships, that kind of stuff in here and like community oriented. Let me just make this a little bit bigger because I think where is the swap button? Oh my word. Okay, well, that did not work. Hold on.
It might be in the bottom left with your profile picture.
Okay, yeah, it was in there, but it's not allowing me to switch into my other accounts to show those feeds. But regardless, so the Happy Tech, this is the podcast that I run, right? So this has a whole different feed, which you can't really see right now. And then the Happy Tech Instagram, for example, has a different set of stuff because that is more tech related. So all of my tech stuff shows up in this one. And then I have our dog account, which is actually one of my favorite accounts to go into. And this will have all like animal content when I go in here. So I've kind of separated it based on interest so that I make sure that I'm getting the things that I want and so that I can almost control like the emotion that I'm going to be feeling because sometimes I go to social media and I really need just some quick hope, like in my health and fitness account. I just want to go in there and get inspiration of like, okay, what do I want to cook today? My workout, that kind of stuff, right? Sometimes when I'm down, I'm like, I just want to see cute animals. And so I go into my cute animal account. Sometimes I'm enraged at the state of the world. And then I go into the podcast account and it's got a lot of activism, philosophy, and community building kind of stuff, mutual aid things, very sort of revolutionary and like transforming society kind of content. And then sometimes I want to learn, and that's a happy tech one. I also have a art one because I sometimes just want to see art. So you can make social media work for you. And social media is a lot of different things. People don't think YouTube is social media. YouTube is social media. So a lot of people think that Facebook and Instagram, for example, or LinkedIn is social media, right? Because it's your personal profile. And a lot more people have content up on their LinkedIn's and Facebooks than they do on their YouTube. So they don't think of YouTube as social media. They don't think of, for example, Reddit as social media, right? But Reddit is social media. Okay, so is YouTube. Another example is Substack, right? People originally were like, oh, Substack's not social media. Substack is absolutely social media. Like, there is no way to think it's not social media. This is my personal Substack, and this is what I see on there. Whereas when I go into, let me screen share. Let me just screen share the other um Substack account. Give me 1 second. Oops, where is it?
The thing that you hate most that your pet does is the clue that you need to work on for yourself.
The thing you hate most that your pet does is what?
Is the clue that you need to work on for yourself.
Yeah, honestly, she's not wrong.
I hate that
Um,
my pet doesn't eat.
that's funny. Okay, are you able to see this in the stream?
No, I still see the Substack. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I see it now.
Okay, so this is the Happy Tech Substack feed, right? And it's different. It doesn't have the same stuff that the other one does. It's mostly, look, AI. It's like super AI related. Authentic marketing, yeah, a lot of marketing, different types of things also. But yeah, it's like very tech focused. And yeah, also like growing your Substack apparently is like a big thing in this one for some reason. The other one it's not that prominent. But yeah, like your design, I have a lot of design stuff in the HappyTec Substack too. So you can really curate each account to make sure that it's matching kind of what you want to be seeing, because social media is already taking advantage of you in every front that it can. So why don't you set it up so that you can take advantage of it, right? Like whether it's like you want to have just like cooking videos, you want to have just your workouts, like you can decide what that looks like and you can train the algorithm too. You don't need the algorithm to just train you, right? We can, it goes both ways. It's a conversation essentially with AI. That's what it is. You're telling AI what you want to see and kind of look at it as a pet of like, yes, I want more of this. No, I don't want that. And use the options in there to say, I'm not interested in this type of content. Or you can say, I'm not interested in this follower, right? So then it kind of clues it in into that. Because you can really choose what you're seeing. And that is one way to be really smart and intentional about social media so that you can get your needs met and get off of it as quickly as possible, too.
Yeah, it's oh, where's this paused? It's like anything in tech. Social media is a double-edged sword. It's a tool, right? Just like computers are a tool, the internet is a tool. The internet has allowed us to spread ideas and equalize a ton of playing fields, share resources abroad, communicate with people, things like that. It has also allowed a tremendous amount of horrible things to happen because of those same exact principles, right? It's a tool. AI is a tool. Use them wisely, and you're not going to hurt yourself. In fact, you're going to do things quicker, you're going to do things better, you're going to be able to do things more efficiently. Use them poorly and you're going to hurt yourself. That has always been the case, and social media is the same way. I can communicate very easily with friends that I left in California. I can communicate with people that I know overseas in other countries, like that. Beautiful. I can communicate with my wife who's sitting right next to me on the couch without having to talk at all. It's amazing. But there's also that downside of you really often only see the best of people's worlds if that's what you're looking to see. If you want to see the worst of people's worlds, people having terrible accidents, people messing up on the news reels, you can find that on social media. You just have to be looking for it. And so I think a lot of people that come out of this thing and oh my god, everyone looks so pretty, their lives are all so perfect. That's what you're looking for. And maybe really to go more zen about it, maybe that should tell you something about yourself and what maybe you should actually be doing with your time is rather than looking at other people that have some fake reality that you want, do something to make that happen for yourself.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you all for showing up today, and we will see you next time. Rob, when you turn off the stream, can you leave the Zoom running for a second?